Hello, my beautiful listeners, it's your friendly Gruppeteer, and I'm back again with another Steven Universe vlog for the first time in what seems like too long, in which a lot of fans are probably saying, with the current scheduling, what would you say, calamity, I guess, mess, maybe, that Cartoon Network is aiming for with their programming for Steven Universe, but I digress, because I'd like to work there one day. So, we're back with Your Mother and Mine, I think is the name of this one, or My Mother and Yours, or something like that. And in this episode, we essentially just have 11 minutes of exposition, in all honesty. But it's good exposition. Let's get into it. So, Steven, he goes through Lars's head to the spaceship, and he brings Garnet along with him, and when Garnet sees all the crew members that Lars has on his ship, she's absolutely astonished. All these gems, all these fusions looking so beautiful, and when she mentions that she used to work with Rose Quartz on Earth in the Rebellion, all the gems are taken aback. They can't believe that she worked with this rebellious force of gem nature. To which Garnet tells the tale, weaves the tale of Rose's true legacy, and it's, for the most part, nothing that we actually know yet as the audience. We don't really know too much about why Rose rebelled, except that she liked Earth. I like Earth, and I don't rebel much. But she sorta has this backstory where she goes to Earth as part of the kindergarten, and she slowly gains an appreciation for Earth, and she slowly starts to rally her friends and or the people around her to sort of start to be looking a lot more at the Earth. I guess she's a very early transcendentalist, if anything. And when she is found out to have done this, she's taken a Pink Diamond. Pink Diamond tells her to knock that off. She's like, no you, and turns around and starts the rebellion. The fight starts, which we all know happens, and the story pretty much ends with the three remaining gems after Pink Diamond is shattered, knocking out all life on Earth, I think is what they were going for. They don't get our three heroes, obviously, and they don't get Bismuth. Was Bismuth dead by this point? I don't remember that. I think she was, right? Yeah? No? You'll probably tell me in the comments if I'm wrong. I think Bismuth died during the rebellion because... No, Bismuth died during the rebellion because she was trying to make those weapons that Rose wasn't. Alright, thanks for answering my own question, me. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that. But Garnet and Pearl and Rose are saved from this blast. Besides that, it's kind of implied that everyone else on Earth dies, which is something we haven't heard yet. I'm pretty sure we didn't hear that one yet. But just adds to the ambiance, I guess. The gems hear this, they're sort of all bummed out. But Garnet gives them an inspirational speech full of quotes that you'd see on a motivational poster in your office's break room. And that rallies the troops to get working on sort of fixing the hyperdrive on the ship is what I think they're going for. Just fixing the rockets on the ship so they can go back to Earth. I think they still need something, but the reason that they're missing a piece is because they have to go off to this asteroid belt and get it, and that's the episode sort of ends on that, and it's like, oh, I better tune in next time. And what I said is practically 11 minutes of exposition. If I were really Mr. Harsh, which I am in a lot of these episodes, I really would just dig into this episode for pretty much having nothing to do with, like, anything. Well, okay, no, let me rephrase that. It has something to do with the overall storyline, but it's an episode that occurs in one room, is pretty much narrated by one character, has, like, no scene changes. The other characters besides Garnet pretty much don't do anything except sit and listen. And it sounds really boring. It really does. And if you told me that was just sort of the premise of the episode, I probably would be willing and, I guess, ready to rip into it. But there's something just about the way that it's done, that it's presented, that's really nice. And I have to admit something. And I've been doing this show for almost 6 years now. Oh my god. Can you tell I'm aging? But I really don't ever say this about anybody on the voice cast. Estelle's performance in this episode was, I could have done a better job than she did. She did not sound like she cared about this episode at all, which maybe she's falling out of it. Again, it's been 6 years, but she didn't sound like she was giving a poo-poo with the way she was reading the lines in this episode. There was one part at the beginning, where she's like surprised to see the gems. She's surprised to see Rhonda, help me Rhonda, what's her name? And she's like, oh, what, a pearl and a ruby. What a story that must have been. But she just says it in the most lackluster way. She's like, oh, a pearl and a ruby. What a story that must have been. What's a story, Mark? Ha ha ha. It sounds so phoned in. In the entire episode, as I said, she's the only one that speaks, 80% of the lines in this episode. And it's just sort of line after line of like, Rose was devoted to her cause on Earth. There was nothing she loved more than being on Earth and helping, and you're just like, what is this? This was like the first take. Honestly, I don't try to smack on the voice cast in this show because I know that a lot of them aren't great anyway, but I don't know if I could do better. This is the only episode where I know I could do better than Estelle, a singer, a trained vocalist, if not a trained voice actor, who's been doing the show for so and so years now. This was like her big episode, and it was not there. So you'd think that would again take away from the episode with how boring the premise sounds, how phoned in Estelle sort of is, the fact that it centers around Lars and the whole Star storyline, which you might know I'm not exactly the biggest fan of. But something about the way it's presented, something about the art style in which they give the backstory, which is kind of the storybook feeling that they go with on certain episodes when they talk about Homeworld, but especially in this episode where they really play up the colors and the contrasts and the sort of silhouette shapes. It reminds me a lot of early 1900s, sort of Indian and Asian, or those are one and the same, but you know what I mean, Asian shadow puppetry in earlier forms of animation around the early thousands. It really is just, I wouldn't say stunning by any means, but it really is very nice, and it's a beautiful vocal sort of change from the greenish palette that the Lars and the Stars episodes are sort of given. I really just do like that they work a lot with framing and ratios. There's a brilliant shot where Pink Diamond is getting mad at the rebellion, and instead of just like cutting to the two diamonds above her, they literally just pan up the screen, and it looks just like one big scroll, and they're just designed beautifully. They do this great Art Deco effect with some background characters, especially when they show the diamonds. There's a great shot where it's just the diamonds are silhouetted as stars, like they're silhouettes of the stars. Reminds me a lot of a Laurie Anderson video, if anything, but don't worry, you don't know what that means. It's just it looks really nice. It's not the most visually stunning thing I've seen in a while, but it's a nice change of pace, and especially in TV animation, it is really nice to see the, I wouldn't say experimental by any means, but I would say the nice change of pace, highly stylized is the word I'm going for, highly stylized animation, which is present in this episode, and I do think it looks nice, I do think it's done effectively, and I do understand that if I'm aiming for that sort of silhouette stuff, or Persepolis, I guess, if I was going to talk about another high contrast movie. You're not going to get it in a relatively mid-budget 11-minute, children's show. But I think what they did was done really well. And I think, if anything, the art style and the animation of this episode really is the only thing that drives it. The story, if you're a hardcore fan, or if you're just somebody who's really interested in the storyline of Steven Universe, is compelling enough to stay interested in, just because you want to understand a lot more about the background of the world and stuff like that. But for the most part, if I was just watching Cartoon Network and this flipped on and I didn't watch Steven Universe, this really would just seem like a very, very boring episode. And I could easily understand why somebody who even is a fan of the show would think that. I'm personally going to opt for the more positive, which is surprising, but I'll opt for the more positive route of I like it as an episode that fills in the background of Steven Universe. It adds layers to the world, it adds detail, it's beautiful. It looks nice, at least. I'd say this is a pretty above average episode, if anything. It's not great. It's not by any means amazing. And if anything, Estelle is really the only thing that drags it down. Ooh, voice crack. Estelle really is the only thing that drags it down. But I'd say that this is an above average episode, if anything. And it really is nice to see a Lars and the Stars episode, which I actually enjoy. So yeah, this was a good episode. I'll give it that. It gets a thumbs up. It's a light to decent 7. Let's give it that. I guess I'll see you guys next episode. Smash that like button or gently tap it, because either way, it will send a like to YouTube's analytics system. And I will see you guys later. Goodbye.